Hello, everybody. It's a big privilege and a pleasure to be with all of you through this kind of possibility that nowadays technology offers us. This is a new Q&A with a guest in the Vitrina section of the FILMFEST Hamburg. Very, very welcome to all of you. Here with us is Mr. Iván. We had before two films from him. One was Los Labios, co-directed with Santiago Loza. And then he was with AV. And again, this is a film connected with Loza, as well as his Dark Tongue or Piedra Noche. My first question is very easy. This is a film which is connected with your previous one. And it's the question of kids, the question of children, the question now children with adults, and the will to believe. Why you have chosen these two films, which is somehow belongs to the territory of the fantastic, as we like to say it here in Argentina, which is a big tradition also.
Well, first of all, thank you, Roger, for having the film and having me here for the Q&A. And thank you to all of you for being there in the theater or wherever you are looking this Q&A from. And well, regarding your question, the first time, I got in contact with the script, with Santiago's script, it was plenty years ago. And the thing that really caught my attention was particularly that the fantastic element that this drama had, like it's a kind of a gravitational center. Because it was a very sad and hard drama about loss, but it had this very subtle, fantastical element, and that's what mostly drove me into this story and caught my attention. And by the time I got the chance to make the film, after a lot of many years, I found out that that was the key to access. And for me, at least, to express this sad story. Otherwise, it would have been almost impossible because it was. It's such a tragedy what happened to these characters. It's a hard story. So I found out that that was the key. Like I could access to tell this story through that fantastical element or that fantastic element. And when I'm saying fantastic, I'm not only talking about the fantasy or like sci-fi creatures or these elements. I'm talking also about cinema itself. I'm talking about the elements of cinema. That cinema, holds. It's a fantastic element for me. Cinema, it's fantasy for me in a way. Like, so I believed the best way to tell the story was kind of surrounded with the cinema elements. In a way, I'm talking about the imaginary or the kind of tools and things that we got in touch when we were kids and we approached cinema. These kind of images that stick with us through our lives. And our first contact with cinema. So and as you say, it's a film about beliefs and also it's a film about cinema that for me it's very connected, because it's what, I don't know, cinema and beliefs, it's connected for me in a way that it's what makes everyday life possible. In a way, it makes it at least easier to wake up in the morning. And that's what cinema also reconforts and allowed us to inhabit the days in a brighter way.
Yeah, and it seems to be in this case that fantasy, as you have approached till now, it's absolutely connected with childhood. Childhood as a moment that we are allowed to believe, and we shouldn't be. It shouldn't be taken as an innocent movement of the spirit. There's something else, but you have chosen that. However, this is something written by Mr. Loza, who is a very important filmmaker here, but also a writer. Why you have worked again with Mr. Loza? And again, there is something that it might be the text, but also this film is connected with certain kind of tradition in cinema. Can you talk a little bit about these two points or paths which are behind the film?
Well, as I mentioned, when I first approached the script, it was like it was a different version of the story. It was more related to Santiago's style in a way, and since I wanted to make it grow in a different path, I started working with Martín Felipe Castañet, who's a writer, a sci-fi writer from Argentina, and we together made like this a version from this original story, more as I said, more in this using all these elements, these fantasy elements, and also that helped me to start developing this another path that you mentioned, this other path that connects the film not only with this intimate drama or story that I had that I had also done in my previous films, but allowed me to reconnect with this kind of cinema, with these films that were the films, as I said, I felt in love with cinema through these films. So maybe because I'm now I'm 37 years old and I'm starting to feel more like I really need this kind of reconnection to those first moments, maybe to reinvent it and to keep going, and that's what allowed the possibility of okay, I'm gonna make this film, this intimate story, but it's gonna inhabit the cinema world, and it's gonna be part of in a way of this cinema tradition in a very humble way. And I am saying this, of course, but like this, like the film itself, it's a film about a kind of a limbo. It's the coast. You are the ocean in one side, and the dunes and the forest in the other, and in this way I think the film works a bit like that, with the whole cinema history in a way, and a lot of references, and a lot of how the film is structured and how it believes in its own tools, and in the other way it's like this the previous work I've done. It's like this mixed. I like to joke about it, like saying, okay, it's like having these two ghosts, and in one side you have like Cassavetes and Van der Keuken, and in the other way you have like George Lucas and Spielberg, and they meet each other in the coast. So in a way, I wanted to try to allow myself to go this way and see how it can turn out.
But at the same time, there is something fantastic in the film, which is the relationship of the characters with objects, small objects, especially in the room, especially in the room of the child. So could you talk a little bit about how you perceive the relationship between the small details and the spirit of the characters, or the psychology of the character?
Yeah, well, yeah, I really believe it's a film about gaze, about looking each other. It's like this. I think Bresson said like a film is just someone looking at someone looking at something, or something looking at someone. So it's a film about being a witness of your partner, a witness of the life of your friend, and also the objects that of course represent those feelings or those bonds. And in that regard, the creature, of course, it means it is that it is cinema in a way for me, if you can, because it exists and it does not. It depends in it depends who is looking at it. I mean,
Mhm.
and that and being and of course for me it's very important in the story the presence of Greta's friend, of Sina, and it's kind of the whole story has sense because she's witnessing and she's the one who's making possible that her friend and is I don't know, is not falling into herself. It's not getting lost into her own. It is she's the one saying, okay, this is happening. She's in a way like, I believe this all these people we are very connected, and the gays that represent that, like looking at someone's old toys or these objects, it works for me like this kind of subjective point of view, different points of view of the same reality in a. It's what for me the reality of the film. It's made up of these points of view. There is no one reality.
Yeah. That's a good point. And there's something. It's true that there is a creature. Now the film has been shown, or maybe people are about to show and they are watching this, so we keep a little bit the secret. But there is a second creature, which is a technological creature, which is a big tower in the middle of the ocean. Could you talk a little bit about that? The subtle and sub-trauma, which has the film, the subplot that it has the scene, which is connected with tourism in certain ways, something that is going on in the town or the small city. Could you tell us why you have surround the problem of in this particularly settle?
Well, in that way, it's like this idea of I wanted to approach it in a bit what we're talking just now. It's like the representation of these laws, this it like all start to build from the inside of the characters, but I also wanted to make them inhabit like this kind of objective or outside world that also is going to the same to the same ending, to the same point, you know. And in that regard, I found out like this like technological tower, this platform in the middle of the ocean, like crossing the natural landscape and modifying it. It's like in a way a representation of the things that are changing and are not going to be the same anyway anymore. Sorry.
Thank you, Iván, and it's a privilege to have a third film of yours in FILMFEST Hamburg.
Thank you.